Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We got Jesse, we got Rudo, we got Megan. We'll get into the power play today. That's kind of the main topic we're going into. Obviously, Jesse and I talked about Kovalenko yesterday, but he officially signs this morning. The contract is done, a 2-year ELC. Megan, I want to get your thoughts on Kovalenko and, I mean, maybe not necessarily expectations, but what do you see in him?
I think we should talk expectations after Meghan goes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's appropriate to revisit. I wasn't on yesterday, but I'm excited about Kovalenko in doing our prospect pyramid. He's at the top for a very reason because of his pro readiness. And the writing was on the wall in terms of him finishing out this season in the KHL and then looking at coming to Colorado. And it's nice to see it get done now so that there is some certainty that this is coming down the line this year. And what I think is exciting, and I don't necessarily mind him finishing this year with the KHL because of what a great year he had last year. And I think it's so important for him to continue building on the prolific season that he had last year with the top 6 opportunity and power play time that he was given in the KHL. Just because when he comes to Colorado, he's going to be utilized in a different way. He won't be getting quite those reps here to start. I think it's good to get him some of that valuable time in a pro men's league playing among men. I have to imagine, too, that as we've watched the NHL evolve as a game in terms of pace of play, I imagine this is happening in the KHL as well. And so I know we teased Grigorenko earlier before the show, and I kind of wanted to talk about that in a second because with the season that Kovalenko had last year, and when this is happening and assessing that part of the circumstance is why I get excited for this player. He's toolsy, he's a versatile winger, and the way in which you see the vision and the distribution of the puck in traffic on the power play too, the way he can quarterback the passing is something to get excited on an episode where we're about to talk about the future of the Avs power play. And I'm not immediately putting him on PP2, but he does something similar to what Mikko Rantanen does on PP1 at a high level in the KHL. And that is something to get excited about. It's why I'm excited about this prospect. And still at 23, a young player with a lot of upside and ceiling to realize his potential. It's an exciting player. I'm really looking forward to seeing him much more up close the springtime of this year, presumably.
I'm going to be the Oppenheimer to Megan's Barbie here.
We go.
I just want to make sure that I think what Meghan said is true, but I also want to make sure that what you and I talked about yesterday, Rudo, everyone's got to way temper expectations for what you're getting out of him. The KHL is a scoring, skilled league. There's not a huge emphasis on defense. Pavel Ferentsos was a back-to-back goaltender of the year. The goaltending isn't to the same level. Meghan is 100% right on a lot of those things. He's got great skill, great vision. He plays the wall with a heavy shot on the power play. All of that is true. Everyone just needs to make sure to temper the expectations for when he first arrives. Now, obviously, this is also based on before the KHL season gets started. But by the time he's coming to the Avs, he could have had an 80-point year, and everything Meghan just talked about took even another step. And it's this is a bona fide NHL player. We were mentioning Mikhail Grigorenko before. Obviously, there were some engagement issues.
Kovalenko won't have those,
Right. But Mikhail Grigorenko is a pretty solid 50 to 60 point a year, 20 to 25 goal guy in the KHL, which is right in the range of where Kovalenko broke out for the first time last year. So my big thing is I agree with a lot of what Meghan just said about him and his actual tools and when he's on the ice at the KHL level. I just want to make sure that people know there is a big, big gap between KHL and NHL, and I'm excited to see how all of that, translates. But I've seen just in the last 90 minutes a lot of Kovalenko highlight reels going around, and it's kind of like draft prospects. A lot of these kids look really good on YouTube.
Responsibly, folks.
YouTube responsibly, and let's see what kind of year he has, because everything Meghan talked about in terms of his tools and his ability, that is all spot on. If there's an even bigger step this year, then I'm really going to get excited. But if he settles in 20 goals, 50 points, I think you can say he's probably going to be a pretty safe 30, maybe a 40-point guy.
Yeah, I think 35 is realistic.
Moonlight on the second power play unit with injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of continues to develop. Because Meghan pointed out, he's 23. He's a young guy.
So I kind of want to smash these ideas together because I do think Grigorenko production-wise, is probably a reasonable target at the NHL level.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned, Kovalenko will not have any of the engagement issues. He works hard. He will be able to function in a third-line role where you're asked to go do some of those things that Grigorenko never really did.
Yeah.
But if you want to get on the hype train, the way I've been talking about him, and a lot of this is because, as you were talking on the power play, that passing ability, to me, he's a lot like a poor man's Landeskog. Able to play physical, able to do a lot of the dirty work, a better passer than people give him credit for. Landeskog's automatic 20-goal guy in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Is Kovalenko going to put up 60-point seasons? Probably not. That's where the poor man part comes in. But he is a little bit of that well-rounded, do a little bit of everything for you type of player. So I do think there are things to be excited about.
Totally.
I also think the Avs fan base is incredibly spoiled as they've jumped from Mikko Rantanens to Val Nichushkins to Arturi Lekkonens of just everything going so incredibly well that I would say don't expect it to go quite that well with Kovalenko.
Now, I will say, talking about the Grigorenko to Kovalenko comparison and the effort, Jared Bednar loves players who have the effort, have the motor, and Kovalenko is definitely going to have that. And again, I would just like to say, because I seriously, I saw 3 tweets today comparing Kovalenko to Kirill Kaprizov.
That's not.
And
You're
it's
not
like,
even
this
in-
is-
Almost feels offensive.
Yeah,
It's like they are from the same country.
Right,
And
right.
the comparison stops there.
and I just, like I said, I just want to temper that stuff. But I also want to put the disclaimer on. If he goes and breaks out for 80 points this year,
Not going to complain.
well, then all bets are off,
Yeah.
and who knows? Everything Meghan said, all that stuff could translate exactly to the NHL, and he could be a Kirill Kaprizov type guy.
I mean, he's never going to be Kaprizov.
Hey, I'm not going to be the specific Debbie Downer to say that, but yeah, just the whole point of this is exciting prospect. I'm with you, Meghan. He is without a doubt the Avs' top prospect. So I'll pump the brakes and wait to see what happens.
Don't tell me what to do.
Not you. I'm telling all the Twitter. I'm telling the Kirill Kaprizov people what to do.
That's fair.
Okay. Realistic expectations, 35 points, Meghan?
How soon are we talking?
Let's say in the 24-25
First
season.
full season.
That might be a little ambitious for my
Fair
taste,
enough.
to be fair. And I was the one just getting really excited about him.
And I also want to point out, I don't think you were getting overexcited.
Yeah, I think
that
you
was-
were being realistic.
I think those are
but-
pretty accurate scouting of his game. My comment was mostly just like all my Twitter scrolling today, like whoa, folks.
It's fair. And the reason I'm reluctant to even commit to 35 points is a little bit uncertainty around what opportunity he's actually going to be given.
Where does he fit? Yeah.
If he's buried a little bit in a depth role, that is where we see sometimes production wane, and that is why I'm not so sure, just without knowing his utilization, though I think they are going to pave way for a spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
That much I feel confident in. It's why they're signing him to a 2-year ELC right now, and he's going to the KHL. And so I still feel confident of as much, but with the transition to North American ice also being something that's going to happen, I want to give him a little bit of room to grow into that before I say 35-point season.
Yeah, I'll put it as a 25 to 35 range. If he can land
I like
anywhere in there in his first full season, I think that's a huge win. I think that's something to be excited about, and you can hopefully build from there. I do wonder, though, I mentioned this to Rudo yesterday, do the Avs stop now and say, well, there's our third-line winger, and we'll just bot through the season with whatever we have to go through in our bottom 6?
I just don't think you can. I think you need to fill that role in the immediate.
I don't disagree with you, but I wonder if that's maybe what they're thinking over there.
It's an interesting question because we're already looking at the potential of them taking a gamble on such a young player in Malinsky at the bottom of their D pairings that it would be taking a lot of bets on really young players with little to no NHL experience if we're now looking at Ben Myers being a forward option, Kovalenko and Malinsky in their D core. That's a lot of young players that they're taking a risk on. I actually don't see that happening. I think they need more certainty
Yeah.
to hedge some of those bets.
And I think they, especially with Bednar's penchant to lean toward veteran type guys and things like that, I would expect some level of NHL experience to be added back there. But
so I guess here's my thing though. Who do you feel better about of who's left on the market? Assuming Tarasenko, you're probably priced out of. Patrick Kane, you're probably priced out of.
Different conversation for those two than the rest of them.
100%.
Is Zach Aston Reese still out there? Because I think as of our last show, he was.
Really? I thought for sure I saw he got signed.
If he did, my bad.
No.
If he's still out there,
unrestricted free agent.
that's a great player fit if the price is right. Now, he could be coming with a steeper price tag because he's a free agent, and that could make it complicated with the limited amount they'll have left after Ben Myers. But that's just someone who comes to mind.
So what? So the Kovalenko ELC will eat up, I'm assuming, is it 925?
I assume if one of these years it's going up to 950. I forget.
So I mean, honestly, I mean, if you're wanting to add him part of the way through the year, let's say,
yeah, his season will probably end around March. At that point, his contract is going to be like $200K against the cap.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like Meghan pointed out, you've got Ben Myers, which he's probably getting a raise over the whatever it was, $750 that he was making. So you're probably going to push him $850, maybe $9. I mean, you're left with such a limited amount of money. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go into the season with the plan of we'll make a deal as cap hits start coming down, knowing that we'll add Kovalenko. You're just getting real tight on money. And my thing is like, okay, do any of these guys, I agree with you, Zach Aston Reese, I agree with you. But like for guys that they can afford, who actually moves the needle more than
here's
some of these young guys you have internally.
I think pretty much all of them move the needle when you take a look at Fredrik Olofsson. No offense to the guy. I'm sure he's a great hockey player. Maybe could be an NHLer, but that's the bar right now in the Avs lineup that a player needs to beat to be in the lineup every day.
Is it?
I think so. Obviously,
I'm trying to do the numbers like the combinations quickly in my head because I thought he would be more like 13.
It's going to be him, Foodie. He would be 13 if you go out and get another guy. Right now, he's 12.
I'm interested because of Foodie's right shot if they give him some reps, inevitably in preseason, but on that right side, on that third line.
Foodie was a guy that CMAC called out by name that they were looking to take a step this year.
I hope that is how it works out. I have no problem with the Avs going into training camp. Maybe they sign some PTOs or whatever to solve
I would like that.
But
I've actually changed my mind. That's what I want them to do. Don't sign anybody. Give some PTOs and let's roll.
I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
It brought about Jack Johnson once upon a time, and that was such a great.
Right.
It's just a decent hedge, right? Because that gives them the, hey, we can add a guy if we want.
Yeah.
If the kids look good in training camp, we can go that route with it.
I actually like that.
So
that's my official vote for what they do now. Take August off, hand out some PTOs when we get a little bit closer in September, and let's see what you got. See who's still out there, who's desperate for a job.
Well, with our luck, they'll find a way to sign Tarasenko, and this whole video will be pointless because we'll be talking about a power play without him. So.
I absolutely love Phil Kessel, the individual.
Makes zero sense for the Avs.
I've seen this like 3 shows in a row. Unfortunately, I mean, he just doesn't make any sense.
In a world where they didn't sign Jonathan Drouin, maybe.
But I mean, like... Phil Kessel used to have the appeal of like he's got speed and he can score an easy goal. Doesn't really have either of those things anymore, and he doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to healthy scratch him, you'd have to be the bad guy to end the Iron Man streak.
Yeah. Don't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
It was Yandel, right? That ended up happening to in Philly. Brutal.
No. Well, yes, but they let him hit 1,000 games and then they scratch
immediately
him.
Scratched
Only
him,
to have that. I felt especially bad for him because I was like, Kessel's like 11 games behind him. Like, you get to hold that record
get
for
caught immediately.
Right. You get to hold that record for a week and a half.
Kessel just does not fit with what the Avs have built. Is the problem.
And I hate that because I think Phil Kessel's a hilarious person. I would love if he was in
touch
Colorado.
that one. Just
What do you mean? Yeah, nice guy. Tries hard. Loves the game.
oh god.
Yeah. You guys were on the show when Blaze told the
Yeah,
story
it's a great story.
that he knows where the best Philly cheesesteak stand is in Denver, Colorado.
Phil Kessel.
Yeah,
Yep.
Phil Kessel.
That's incredible. I love that.
Anyway, we do need to get into talking about the power play today. Before we do, though, we are brought to you by the fantastic folks. I can't really do a Wisconsin accent. I tried. Over at Illegal Pete's.
Oh, yeah.
Not really. I guess, I don't know. Is Wisconsin known for burritos? Probably not. I don't know. Illegal Pete's is known for burritos, though. They have delicious, fresh ingredients every single day. You can go get yours at the longest happy hour in town, 3 to 8 p.m., where you can get delicious margaritas, as well as beer or whatever else you want. If you haven't been to one of their 11 locations yet, you got to go check them out. Get yourself a burrito. Have yourself a good time. There's one location just a couple blocks from the DNVR bar, so you can go hang out there, have yourself some food, and then come down for the Women's World Cup watch parties, which should be an absolute blast. I've been watching at home a lot because I love women's soccer, and it's way better than men's soccer because women don't flop every 7 seconds.
Bro, so true.
So go do that as well. Check them out. Illegal Pete's. Go get yours. Again, 11 different locations all over Colorado. So there should be one near you if you're here. Also brought to you by the folks over at another place that I definitely already read. Oh, yeah. Breckenridge Brewery. The guys
Love
we
'em.
have downstairs. 8
Love
different
'em.
kinds on tap. Eight different kinds on tap. Downstairs at the bar. Of course, you can get it at your local liquor store. Anywhere in the United States. They are all over the country. You can use the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com to find it near you. Obviously, we're all about the summer beers right now. The Mountain Beach Sour, the Palisade Peach, the Strawberry Sky. All of those light ones that can get you through the hot days and the terrible, terrible rain. Take your pick because those are your only two options in Colorado.
Breach.
All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Avs power play. We'll get to PP2 in a second. I think it's a lot more interesting who ends up personnel-wise on that one. Power play 1. As the Avs are currently constructed, look, you know Nathan McKinnon's on it. You know Mikko Rantanen's on it. You know Cale Makar's on it. Those 3, full stop, done. There are 2 more spots there. I'm assuming a lot of people are going to default to Nichushkin and Lehkonen there.
I was going to say Val. I don't know about Lehkonen.
Megan, agree?
I did default to Lehkonen, bumper, Val, net front guy.
Okay. So let's put Val on there for sure.
But you're right. I feel like that middle spot could be a little interchangeable.
It's Ryjo.
Ryjo, yeah.
I wanted Ryjo on PP2 to quarterback from the right side.
See, but I think he likes playing in front. I think
Okay.
I believe he likes playing down low,
And to
big
take
body.
face-offs.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's why they put him on the first power play and let him take the. Basically, they're gonna be Gabe Landeskog, take faceoffs, go to the net, tips, rebounds, slide out into the bumper. If you have a shot, take it.
Okay.
That's one conversation, and then the other conversation is, can they find a way to work Druin in on the top power play?
I forgot about him.
But theoretically, in my head, if they were to do this, which I'm not very confident that they would, you actually put Mikko properly on the wall, and you have Druin work that deep spot that Mikko often works in behind the net.
Yeah, all right. So
from
I'm actually
there.
changing my answer here because I did default to Nichushkin, but I think that's what you do. I think you go.
Ryjo in the middle, and then Druin down behind the net.
And I mean, those two could interchange too. If you wanted to slide
Yeah, for
Druin out
sure.
to the bumper for a one-timer, you could. That's what I think they at least should come out of the gate trying.
Where's Nichushkin?
Second,
It would end up
PP2.
on PP2 if you're doing both of those
Really?
things. I see. This is where I struggle because I do think if you're putting Druin on there, you have Nichushkin instead of Ryjo, and Nichushkin ends up being net front guy. You know, he doesn't really do the bumper thing so much, but he's screening in front, doing things like that.
I think you want Johansson for the face-offs. I think that's like 90% of the reason they got him.
You could do the thing where he takes the face off and just skates off, though.
That'd be really weird on a power play.
It would be a little weird.
And then you could run your second power play unit with Taves up top, Byram on the wall, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and then you could go with what they were doing last year, the 3D. You could go Byram, Taves, Girard,
I just put
Nichushkin,
Colton in the middle,
Lehkonen.
right? Like
I thought Colton should be in the middle.
Yeah.
He
So
could
then
be,
drop
he could
drop
potentially
Girard.
be a face-off guy on PP2.
Yes,
Totally.
for sure.
Totally. And then yeah, drop Girard off that. So then you've got good puck retrieval, good net front, and
Yeah. I do worry a little bit if you end up doing the Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Colton. It's a little too samey on the forward side for a power play.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe Drouin lives on that second power play unit, and
think-
Nichushkin moves up to the
I
top.
think switch
I think that's
Drouin and
where we're
Nichushkin.
probably headed, yeah.
I like Val's physicality at the net front. I don't know if that's a skill of Drouin specifically.
No, but my thing is you got to keep in mind, like Ryan Johansson. I don't think we're giving enough credit to Ryan Johansson here, and like that's where he makes his living down there. He's a big body. I think that's where they're gonna want to put him. So I really do think that you're talking about the bumper spot, and maybe it's Lehkonen. You're looking for a bumper. I don't think that's Val.
An actual bumper, I agree with you. Val's not a bumper. He's
Right.
more of an actual net front type, like screen the goalie type of net
And I
front.
think they're going to try to get Johansson to play that role on the first power play unit.
Yeah, the thing is, like, in reality, I expect them to probably mix it up a lot over the course of the season.
I hope
and
they do. That core of PP1 could grow stale at times and needed something just temporarily to be flipped.
Well, and that bumper spot is the guy that they have historically liked to
run a bunch of different dudes
see
in
what
there.
we can
Yeah.
get here. So maybe that is the spot where it's like, okay, well, we'll try with Lehkonen, we'll try with Drouin, we'll try with Nichushkin. You know, we'll try, later in the season we can try with Kovalenko. I'd be willing to bet that bumper spot is what gets moved. I would be pretty surprised if they went into the season and 4 of those 5 spots on PP1 weren't Johansson, McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar. I'd be pretty surprised.
So there's a couple ways I want to take this. First of all, particularly after last season, we saw with pretty regular occurrence Cale Makar pulling himself off the power play a little bit early. He just is understanding how he needs to control his minutes to get
Right.
through an NHL season. The Avs have not been afraid to experiment with power plays. Obviously, they had the 3D power play last year. Is there a world where they try the 5 forwards?
Not on this team.
You don't
I
think
thought
so?
this was going to give rise to Bo Byram getting time on PP1 and Cale
Okay.
Makar's place.
The defense just too good.
They don't always play like defensemen. That's why
Yeah,
you
that's
might
very
as
true.
well utilize them in that way.
The shooting threat, really, I mean, that top power play unit, the bumper and the net front guy, you could really put whoever. It's the threat of 3 elite all-world shooters on either wing and out high is what, when that power play is going, makes it so dangerous. Is like, who do you cover? Do you give Nathan McKinnon the one time to take away Cale Makar's shooting lane? Do you jump in that lane and give Cale room to walk? And if you
a
want to try to
seam
take away
pass to
both of
Mikko,
those,
yeah.
you can just slip it over to fucking 96. And it's
Oh, by the way, he scored 55 goals. last year.
right. I just like that. I think you see a lot of teams do that because the Avs ran 3D on their second power play last year because they were like, we have too many of these players that are dope at this.
Yep.
I
true.
do think this gives an interesting look at where this team is in looking at guys that we ordinarily would have on PP1 being put on PP2. It's not in totality a reflection of how this team is constructed going into the season, but I think it gives a little bit of confidence that this is a pretty good problem to have.
No doubt.
I really do think that there would be teams for real that a Byram, Taves, what did we say, Lehkonen,
We almost took Girard out of the power play altogether.
Colton, Drouin. That's a PP1 on 13 teams in the league. Colton, Drouin, Lehkonen or
I think it's
Nichushkin
a
with Byram and
it's
Taves.
maybe like 10, a little bit of a weaker
Yeah.
PP1, but sure.
But point being, to make like we talk about like PP2, that's still a very good unit. Like that's still a very formidable, group of 5. It just looks like dog shit next. Like anything looks bad next to McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar.
For the record, the Avs finished last year 6th in the league on power play percentage at 24.5%. Everyone above them, except for Edmonton, which had the ridiculous year. The second place was Toronto at 26%. So they're within a percentage and a half of the second best power play in the league. Let me ask you guys this way. Is there anything you would change about the Avs power play stylistically?
If you're going to run the drop pass on PP2, I think it should run through Byram.
Okay, as the man back.
Mm-hmm. I think Taves should start that and then drop it and let Byram skate. That's my only thing. The drop pass, the Avs popularized it years ago, and it was so effective because you had
everybody does
right because you had Barry dropping to McKinnon, and there was a threat of Tyson Barrie could just skate it, and then you hit Nathan McKinnon, who is, I believe, he was the most efficient
by like 10% better than anyone else in the league,
carrying the puck into the zone. That's what makes the drop pass work for the first power play unit. As much as fans have, confirmation bias, it works very effectively with that first unit
of the time.
if you want to continue, because like when they were trying to run that play with JT Comfort coming, up the middle, it just didn't work. If you want to keep doing that for both units, my only change would be drop it to Bo. Got a little bit more speed, a little bit better vision.
Okay.
Without reinventing the wheel.
Sure.
In our hypothetical, who is the shooter on PP2?
You're making the changes. You can make it whoever you want.
But I want to know who it was in our hypothetical.
Who was the
shooter?
Where? What do you mean?
On the
bumper or up high?
On the wall.
I think we said Colton.
Yeah,
and Drouin.
It'd be Drouin facilitating one wing. It'd probably, assuming Ryjo's on PP1, it'd probably be Colton as the trigger man.
That's actually not terrible. That's my concern with PP2 is I don't know that there's been
a finisher.
Yeah. And I don't know what Colton's shot looks like on PP2. It actually has potential in my eyes compared to Alex Newhook, for example. Mm-hmm. JT Comfort.
That was what was so frustrating about Newhook was like
it is.
You were
extremely.
He was dynamite on the power play at the American League level, and then he did nothing.
And he has a great shot.
Right. Yep.
It just didn't translate on the Avs' second power play. And that's where I feel like they have room to improve, is to make the second unit as competitive as it should be, given the personnel that's usually on it. And I will give them credit. It was a rotating cast of characters last year. Lars Eller, Ben Myers. They were all seeing power play time. That's a little weird. I get it. This is where I'd like to see them fix that. But
to your point, and I think that's why they put so much emphasis on that second power play unit on the defensemen, because those were your best shooters, especially last year. Like of the crop that you had left,
reasonably.
It's like I trust Devon Taves with the puck on his stick more than those names that you just listed. If I need a goal, I'd rather Bowen Byram have it. I'd rather Sam Girard have it than. And this is no disrespect to those guys, but any of the players you just listed, where it's like, what, you're rolling a power play unit over there, and you want the puck on Ben Myers' stick? With all due respect to Ben Myers,
as Brad is pointing out in the chat, he does have a one-timer on the power play, but I do think Colton is going to drive people a little bit crazy at times on the power play. It's not to the level that Newhook was last year, but Colton is a very efficient goal scorer. He shoots when there's a good chance that it's going to go in the net. The Avs are very used to Avs fans are very used to a power play that involves Nathan McKinnon just going bombs away anytime.
It works when it needs to, but it also doesn't work a lot when it needs to.
And McKinnon is much more a volume shooter that will get his based on that. I think
there's a comment
see
there
some
about
frustration there, but
utilizing corners to push and pull defenders. The Avs are one of the best low to high teams like out there. They run that high cycle, and it all starts by getting pucks down low and then moving them out high. So they do that pretty efficiently, if I'm understanding your comment correctly.
Stylistically, I have a whole conversation I want to get into, which I have a lot to preface. So before we do that, we are brought to you by the folks over at Shady Rays. You can go get your sunglasses today at shadyrays.com. Use the DNVR code. When you buy a pair and you get a second pair, you get 50% off your order with the code DNVR. They got tons of different styles and shades and polarizations and all this stuff. It's all great. It's all well priced, so you're not paying Oakley prices just to break your sunglasses, which is what really counts here. Yeah. Their replacement policy is incredible. First 30 days, you break them, lose them, or just plain don't like them, they will replace them for you completely for free. So check them out today. ShadyRays.com. Use the DNVR code when you're ordering, or if you're local, they have a brick and mortar in the Park Meadows Mall. And then when someone is driving down the road without their sunglasses into the sun and they crash into you, make sure you call 222-2222 today. Box and Schenker have you covered. They've been doing this for over 25 years in Colorado, and they've won over $1 billion for their clients. So hit them up today, either with the 2 number or at coloradolaw.net. They'll give you a free consultation. They think you have a case if you've been injured in a car accident, even if it was a rideshare thing or like a scooter situation, even if you were injured at work. If there's an injury situation, they just want to get you what you deserve. After the free consultation, if they think you have a case, they will take it on for completely free. Initially, you pay nothing until you win your case. So check them out. Again, 2 number or coloradolaw.net. Boggins and Schenker. They've been doing it forever. Everyone in Colorado knows who they are because they keep winning for their clients. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. All right. So, I'm the Oppenheimer of the crew. I got the black on, all right?
It is funny how that works.
I was looking at the screen earlier, and I was like, well, all right. That looks nice.
So, I have no room to actually make this argument because the Avs power play has been very, very good on the whole. Like I said, it was 6th best in the league last year, even through all the injuries that the Avs dealt with. So it's hard to complain stylistically. But in my perfect world, I would run a power play without a bumper spot. I hate the bumper. I hate it mechanically. I think it clogs things up way too much for the offense.
I think this is a terrible take.
I know. But here's why I don't like the bumper spot. Because if you don't have a permanent bumper, this allows particularly your wingers, but also anyone on the ice can do it, to slash through the middle and cause a little bit more chaos of tracking through.
Your issue is with the lack of movement.
Yes.
Not someone playing in the bumper spot.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And I do think the bumper spot creates some of that lack of movement.
I think the bumper player being stagnant, I completely agree with you. And
that's if you play like a bumper spot that rotates in and out a little bit more, sure.
What I would like to see the Avs do with what you're talking about is have those 2 guys, your net front guy and your bumper guy, have that net front guy when he slides out to either corner, have your bumper guy slide down, take that net front and create some movement in the slot.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that bumper spot because I think that is one of the harder positions on the ice to cover when you're shorthanded.
When performed correctly.
Correct. And my biggest issue when the Avs power play is struggling is it does seem like they stop moving.
Yep.
And I even talked to Nathan McKinnon about that last year. We're all standing there, and you can you look around, they're all standing like this. They're all waiting for a shot, and it's like, yeah, got it. You're ready to shoot. Move. Get into a lane. Get open. Create some open ice. Cale Makar is maybe better at that than anybody in the league, creating his own open ice. The Avs power play, I think they do it well, but when they get stale, in my opinion, it's because they stop moving, and you do end up with a guy in the bumper spot just standing there loaded up for a one-timer. And you're right, that is very easy to defend.
I feel like I agree with the movement part of it. And I've seen success, like I've watched Lehkonen pull in tighter, especially if like Nichushkin's retrieving the puck behind the net. And this has given way to tap-ins because Lehkonen's basically at the net front and Val Nichushkin comes in and taps it in. And so the movement, though, from Lehkonen going down even lower is necessary. And I think, like Jesse's alluding to, if there's an anticipation from your bumper to like see his wing coming through the slot to move out or rotate, if that's something that they could anticipate successfully so that there was, I don't want to say coverage, but a person now in that open spot, I would be in favor of it because I think the movement creates unpredictability, but it's necessary.
So let's go back to Newhook and what you were talking about earlier, Megan. That one-time shot that he had, not really from the slot, almost kind of like from the Ovechkin office. And what was so fun about that is he would play in the middle, and then when he'd start to see that play develop, he'd slide out, I mean, no further from me to you, into that bumper spot, and just that slight change of angle for a goaltender going from the wall to 5 feet in makes a huge difference. And it's stuff like that that I felt like, again, the Avs on the whole had a really strong power play season, but they went through a stretch where I felt like, why is nobody moving that bumper spot? Nathan MacKinnon does that exact play very effectively. Your two guys in the middle of the ice need to be moving a lot more than we've seen them at times.
So a couple of things there. One, I'm glad that you brought up Lehkonen because I do think he's the best about moving through the middle. Both what you already mentioned of understanding when to cut down low, understanding as the play is developing. He was very good for a time of cutting from net front up out high through the slot and then would cut to the back door and could create opportunities that way as he could beat guys to that back post. And then the other side of it, the 5 foot thing, I get. It makes sense. But I think when the Avs started to stagnate, you would get this play from them where MacKinnon would literally be passing at 18 inches.
I agree with that.
And it's like, everyone on the ice sees it coming. You're not really changing the angle significantly.
Well, and you're allowing two players to be covered by one guy. You have to create at least enough space that you're changing an angle. It's a quick, short little pass that causes movement, causes confusion, but you can't allow Nathan MacKinnon and just in the example I'm using, and Alex Newhook to be covered by one stick length. Yeah. You can't allow that without, especially when they're standing there. If we're talking about guys flashing through lanes and stuff like that, you're going to end up with guys in tight to each other, little drop passes, leaving a puck for someone to pick it up in motion is one thing. But when you're talking about me bumping a pass to you, it's like, okay.
Neat.
But, I really did. That was something that I was always disappointed that Newhook never seemed to translate on. Was you would see it all the time. He'd go low, he'd come up through the slot, and then he'd shoot over 5 feet and would just let shots go.
Yep.
From that, if you're looking at the net, the left circle, and that never translated to the NHL level.
And then I did want to bring up the play that Brad is talking about here as well at the start of the year. The give and go play from Mikko. Very weird, like almost basketball-esque, where it was like a two-man game type play, where Mikko would be on the wall and Val would pass to him and then beat his man towards the net and Mikko would try to chip it to him. I would like to see the Avs try to do a little bit more of things like that because, as you've talked about a lot, they really will settle into, we'll just set up in our umbrella and everyone will stand in their spot and we'll wait for Nathan MacKinnon to take a one-timer.
Pick up rebounds, tips, whatever.
McKinnon's a really good shooter. He's not Alex Ovechkin. He's not going to beat people with that.
I will say,
everyone knows
I think he converts on it more than you and AJ give him credit for. I don't have the hard number for it, but
I think he converts on it when they create a good play.
I agree with you.
When it's everyone's staring at him, waiting for it, he doesn't convert very often.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
But it's really interesting because people don't know how to defend Mikko Rantanen on the power play. He can do everything so well. Obviously, the goal scoring. But on that Val play, what happens is Val gives it to Mikko and then starts to cut down. And Mikko slides up the wall just enough where the threat is he's going to make the seam pass across to MacKinnon. So the defender on him is on him. And then the guy high has to slide into that to present the open lane to prevent the seam pass. And that's when Val just cuts. And I like when executed correctly, I genuinely don't know how you defend it. So
it's not anything you can count on with any kind of certainty. I love Mikko's little chip play by the net.
Yes, I hate it,
but it's been effective. That's what I'm thinking about is his movement creates opportunity from many different areas on the power play beyond just that right circle.
So it's about,
Very, very
I mean,
true.
it's everything we're talking about here is about finding soft spots on the ice, right?
Yep.
Where you get lost in coverage, you make a play on the puck, and then you drift somewhere else. There was I don't know if you guys saw the clip that was going around. I rewatched it about 50 times, and it looked like a very normal looking hockey play, but it was the Hurricanes power play highlight. I don't know if you guys saw it going around, but it was and I can't even remember who it was. Martinuk was playing on the right side, right next to the net, and they moved the puck down to him, and he held it, looked, and then just threw it basically right back to where it came from. And then he just quietly drifted behind the net and put his stick down on the back door, and he got completely lost. There was nobody within 7 feet of him, and he tapped one in. Obviously, that's a one-off, but that's the type of stuff that the play that you're talking about with Nichushkin, the little chip play by to the set with Mikko, that is the type of stuff where these are players that are moving without the puck. Yes, when you have the puck on your stick, you have to be moving. You can't be standing still. You've never been easy to defend when you're standing still. But it's players moving without the puck, and that's what I feel like the Avs have had a track record of lulling into at times. Watch Connor McDavid on the power play. Can anybody tell me what position Connor McDavid plays on the power play?
No,
he's a rover. He'll be out high. He plays behind the net, and it's literally just about creating this constant movement. And then at one point he stops, and suddenly, somehow, Connor McDavid is wide open.
Yeah.
It's all about moving without the puck, and that's what I feel like the Avs need to be a little bit more proficient at this year and stop some of the predictability. Despite them having a very good... If they run it back from last year, everyone's happy. But I think with the skill that you have, the hockey IQ you have on the ice, I think this power play can be better.
I do think it can be better than it is as well. And your idea kind of sparked a thought for me here. And it's funny because the person that I think of in my head that does this extremely well is Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, especially on a power play, once they get in the zone, he'll do this thing where he will circle all the way out of the zone, back to the neutral zone.
This is one of my favorite plays in hockey.
And he can do multiple things from here. He can slowly glide in and sneak into a spot. He can go full bore and try to beat someone to a spot. I think the Avs lack a little bit of that guy who knows how to get lost on the power play, and the defense isn't able to track him very well.
Nathan McKinnon's done that a couple of times in several years I can think of, but to your point, not at the efficiency level of some of these other guys.
So I guess that's my question. Can the Avs find a guy like that, man? Can Mikko start to fill that role? Can McKinnon start to fill that role? Is that something Jonathan Drouin can do?
It raises an interesting point about who else is on the power play to distract skaters and defenders, because with as much star talent on PP1, that's actually there's room for deception then, because there are going to be people who are keenly looking at Mikko Rantanen because they know what he's capable of on the power play. Is there someone who isn't Mikko Rantanen then, like a Drouin, honestly, that people are less expecting to be the guy that is moving throughout? And I could see that being someone more understated, because I think that if you're McKinnon and Rantanen on the ice at all times, and Makar, you're going to be watched so closely, it might be hard to get lost in the play.
I agree.
See, I think it's Mikko. Mikko has to be the guy that, and I think we listed two plays earlier where we talked about movement away from the puck. Mikko Rantanen was a part of both of them. I think he's the guy, because Megan, you're right. As elite of a shooter as he's a 55 goal guy, he's probably the third shooter on the ice, which is what's crazy. So to me, he's the guy, and he does a good job of it. He's got to be a little bit better this year about being sneaky, getting lost, finding soft spots in the ice, because he does it pretty well.
The problem is, like, at a certain point, you're asking too much of him, right? Because you already have him walking that whole wall. He regularly slides in behind the net. You're looking
what do you
for
think
the
Patrick
chip play
Kane
in
does?
Front of the net.
We're talking about elite players here. Like,
you're not wrong.
What I don't think you're asking too much from him. You're just saying, hey, we have plays we can run through you, because we know you're going to have a stick in Nathan McKinnon's legs and a stick in the lane between Makar and Nate, and then you're going to have someone out high respecting the shot from Kale. That only leaves one body left to cover three guys. Mikko Rantanen, I think, is the perfect candidate to be the Patrick Kane get lost in everything.
And it actually places the responsibility on the shoulders of McKinnon, Makar,
totally,
whoever else is out there.
True.
for the sleight of hand, baiting skaters to be drawn away from the play to allow Mikko to slip behind the scenes more carefully. And that actually is where, too, it takes a little bit of pressure off Mikko in that sense if his teammates can be deceptive. And I think that's something that Nathan MacKinnon already does very well.
Okay. Realistically, is this a team that can have a 30% power play? Can they do what
did
Edmonton
they finish last?
doing?
Oh, no. No.
I think it was 24.5.
No, I don't think Edmonton can do what Edmonton did last year.
Ignore the playoffs. Is it a little bit more sustainable?
I was getting like physically upset watching them run that power play. It's like, oh my God.
Game 11 of the playoffs for Edmonton. Their power play is at a 60% clip.
Dude,
like, what
it
the
was
hell?
wild. It was wild.
So, like, is last year the expectation? Another 25%-ish season?
I think the Avs are scoring 1 out of every 4. You're feeling good.
Okay. Megan, same boat? Realistic?
Yeah. I think that, honestly, last year was quite an accomplishment because of the first power play unit doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And I think, hopefully, with health in mind, they can become a bit more stable on the personnel utilized on PP2. That's where I see this improving altogether.
That's the other thing to point out. The Avs went through a bad lull last year on the power play, and they also went like 7 games with players of Jean-Luc Foudy's caliber.
True.
With all due respect to Jean-Luc Foudy.
It's true.
On that top power play unit, and for them to still have a top 10 power play at the end of the season with any kind of health luck. Megan is 100% right. With any kind of health luck relative to what you had last year.
Probably more like Toronto at 26.
A little bit more consistency. 25 to 26, I absolutely think is realistic for the group they have, the defensemen they have, the new additions they brought in this year. I think a 25 to 26, if you get any shred of health luck, is totally within reach. That's a great call out, Megan.
One last question. How would you divvy up the power play minutes between Unit 1 and 2? Is it 75-25? Or would you give PP2 a little bit more or less?
In a perfect world, I'm going 75 seconds, 45 seconds.
So that'd be like
minute 15 and
2/3 and a third, basically. Okay. All right. Megan?
Because it is some new players together for the first time on that second unit, I still think it needs to be heavily proportionate, like favoring power play 1.
Well, and your first power play unit is just
it's a great point.
You say I'm not taking MacKinnon and Rantanen and Makar off the ice unless I have to. Right?
I mean, like again, Edmonton. How many of those did power play 2 get in the playoffs? My guess is 1 at most.
Yeah, it was not a lot. Okay, I'm good. I think we covered the power play pretty well. Anything else you two want to add?
I'm good.
All right, we're gonna get out of here for the day. Then a quick one. We are out here as DNVR, just so you guys know. You can sign up for the Die Hard. You get exclusive content on the website. You also get a free shirt with your Die Hard subscription. So highly recommend you check out shirts like this one. This is a Sam Girard shirt. So some of you probably want to burn it. But
no, we kicked him off our power play.
Plenty of other
I
shirts
didn't. I would like to point that out. I did not.
You were down for the 3D. Yeah, tons of other great perks. By the way, August 18th, if you're local, mark your calendars. We're going to be doing a live show down at the bar. You can come say hi. It's a meet and greet. Come say hello. We'll hang out after the show. It'll be a fun time. So show up for that. Come have a good time with us. Come enjoy a pod live if you're local. Yeah, we appreciate all of y'all, and we will see you. Well, I guess I won't, but these two will see you tomorrow.